Welcome to Seize the Mains Daily Answer Writing by Raj Malhotra's IS Academy. I'm Surbhi Sardana and I'm taking this lecture discussion on UPSC and State Civil Services Mains Answer Writing from Monday to Friday at 9 p.m. The special part about this initiative is that you not only learn answer writing with us, but you can also share your answers with us and get evaluated by our experts entirely free of cost. You can download the timetable till May 3rd from the link in the description below. Also, the entire compilation for season 1, that is lecture 1 to 28, is there in the description. You can download it from there. So moving on, it's day 45 of Seize the Mains. The topic for today is from GS paper 1. It is role of women and women's organizations, population and associated issues, poverty and developmental issues, urbanization, their problems and remedies. So let's see what is the question for today, but before that I recommend that you keep a pen and a paper handy with you. Take notes as I speak, as we discuss. Also, when you see the question, pause the video for 2 minutes, make the structure of your answer, that how will you address this answer, then see what is the structure that we are presenting you with, and then move on to watching the rest of the video. So the question is, this is one of the previous year UPSC mains questions. Examine the role of gig economy in the process of empowerment of women in India. Answer in 150 words for 10 marks. Send your answers to us in the next 24 hours, that is by 9 p.m. of 13th April. This is the email ID, it's there in the description also. You can share your answers here. So let's start by understanding this question. Examine the role of gig economy. Means you have to talk about gig economy in the process of empowerment of women in India. So since it is talking about gig economy, it will mostly be concerned around the economic benefits gig economy has for empowering women in India. The keyword here is examine. Since the keyword is examine, you have to talk in detail about both the aspects of argument, whatever positives and negatives you know about it. So make sure that you finish your answer in 150 words only. We'll have a lot of points here, but at most what you can have is 3 paragraphs for the entire answer, or write in keywords. Don't use full sentences, as we always recommend in a 150 words answer. Try to use each word for your benefit. Give more and more information or more points to the examiner. Do justice to the question. So examine the role of gig economy in the process of empowerment of women in India. For those of you who do not know what gig economy is is an economy that comprises of temporary jobs or work from home jobs on a freelance basis. When you are in a regular work setup or in a regular job, you have pension benefits or retirement benefits or promotion benefits or raises in salary or provident fund, things like that. But in gig economy, for example, let's take an example of content writing. So these people, there are many people who work as content writers from home. They are paid on the basis of assignment. A particular assignment is rated for some amount, and people are asked that if you are ready to work on this project, we can give this project to you and you have to finish it in these many days. So these people work from home, work from their own hardwares and softwares, own internet systems, and they give the assignments on time to the people who has a person who has given them that project. For some of the people, this is very remunerative. For some people who have been very successful in this, they're just working from home for a company on a regular basis. But for many other people, this has become a form of exploitation. So we'll discuss about both the sides of gig economy rising in India in detail. But let's start by understanding how to write this answer. First of all, you'll give an introduction as usual. See, never skip an introduction while writing answer, because structure of your answer, how you present information to the examiner, is very important. You can take an example. If you keep on reading 5 to 6 answers for the same question, on the 7th answer or even on the 3rd answer, you will be exhausted. An examiner knows that what are the data points students have used in this mains paper, but how you present it, that is where where the change in your marks can be seen. So in the introduction, we'll give we have to talk about the how it affects women empowerment. So we'll talk about what is the status of women empowerment in India, and it is not very good. So we'll talk about in respect of the employment data that we have for women. Then we'll define what is a gig economy, and we'll also talk about what are the reasons for this level of employment or this low level of women empowerment in India, and how gig economy can help such women overcome these problems and actually find a suitable employment for them or a way of generating income. So we'll talk about that in a body paragraph. Then we'll go on to talk about the negative impacts of gig economy. How is it stopping women or stopping the growth of women? So this negative part has not to be in very much detail, because the overall idea of the question is a positive note. So we'll talk more about the positive impacts, and then we'll conclude by saying that what are the real problems which are impediments to growth of women in India or women empowerment in India, and these problems have to be addressed. Rather than relying on a new form of employment, we need to address problems at the grassroots level. So moving on, this is we are using two data points here. One of them is your Global Gender Gap Report of World Economic Forum. It is a very popular report. We read this for our prelims also. So make sure that you are aware of it. We'll talk about India's rank in Global Gender Gap Report for the year 2021, which is the latest report. And there is this data by an NGO called Azad Foundation. So according to this data, women workforce in India has fallen down to 18% in 2019 from 37% in 2006. So this is a very dark situation that we are having right now in the country, and this might have gone down after the COVID lockdown or the the situations that COVID had induced. So this might have gone down even further. So also World Economic Forum's Global Gender Gap Report 2021 ranked India at 140th place out of just 156 countries. So that's a very bad rank that India has here. So it has been observed by World Economic Forum that empowering women or raising women's participation in labor force can increase India's GDP significantly. So here we are justifying that why women empowerment or inclusion of women in economy is very important, and using this point, now we'll introduce the concept of gig economy here using this point. But first of all, we are talking about impediments to women empowerment in India. This doesn't have to come in your body paragraph. This either it has to be in just one line, write down what are the impediments to women empowerment in India, or just entirely ignore this point. So let's see what are impediments to women empowerment in India. First of all, are the cultural issues. We don't have to talk about this in detail. We very well understand what are the cultural issues that stop women from being empowered. And this is a case study like situation that has been given, that when a man in the family, we're talking about a general Indian family, not all families are like that, but when a man is able enough to provide for the financial needs of the family, what happens is that women feel that it is their responsibility to take care of the children or take care of the family by sitting back home, or even if they don't feel or do not have that urge, they are made to feel like that, or they are pressurized to do that. You know, when the man of the family is earning enough, why do you need to have a job? So this is something that is prevailing in India. There is no manufacturing, robust manufacturing sector is not there, so jobs are not available in all the pockets of the country. So if a family has settled in a small town, already the number of jobs that are available for people around there are less in number, and they because of the less number of jobs that are available, they are mostly taken by the men, and women are not comfortable competing in such environments. So this is an impediment. A lot of women have issues with the way our cities are have been planned. So there is a rapid urbanization, and most of the cities in India are unplanned cities. What happens when the city is unplanned? There are no safety pockets for women. The commuting routes are very risky, especially when the companies or when where they're employed, they require late working hours. So that is a problem. There is no quality transportation after a certain time in the evening that is available. Quality transportation is not there, safety issues are there, child care is not available in India. If we talk about developed countries, there are definite childcare facilities, and they are very safe, and they are designed in a way which help growth or psychological development of children. But in India, we do not have such quality childcare facilities. Even if they are there, they are only limited to big cities, and they can be afforded only by rich households or households from upper class families. They cannot be afforded by everyone. So that's an issue. The fourth one is maternity laws. Maternity laws are there in place. This 26 weeks, this paid entitlement that women get, paid leave that women get after the latest amendments. But what has happened is that companies, a lot of times, they do not employ young women or recently married women or women who have this in mind that they will be planning a family in future or in the near future, or even if these women are employed, they're not raised to higher positions in the companies that they're working. So maternity laws, companies do not want young women in jobs. So these are the impediments. You can use these impediments to give a conclusion that these are the real problems and we need to address these. So either you can use these impediments in your conclusion, or you can just use the keywords, write one line or maximum 2 lines, because this is a 150 words answer and we have to talk about gig economy, the benefits of it. This was just for explanation. So now bringing in the concept of gig economy here, now you have understood the impediments, you will be able to understand how gig economy has a positive role to play. So first of all, defining it, gig economy refers to a labor market characterized by the prevalence of short-term contracts or freelance work as opposed to permanent. So what this brings is that there is no burden on the companies, there is no that to hire women or promote women on a permanent basis. We'll talk about the downside of it also, but to start with, this is the positive thing. Also, since these contracts can be completed from home, women do not need to commute. Commuting was a problem. Childcare was a problem. They can take care of their children by sitting at home and working from there side by side. So this gig economy has emerged as a solution in the recent years. Now let's see what are its positive impacts. This body paragraph provides you the entire content for this gig economy issue in detail. So gig economy can help in process of empowerment of women in India in the following ways. First of all, look at the yellow part. Part-time work and flexible working hours. So gig employment allows part-time work and flexible working hours if a project has to be completed in a span of like 15 days. So it's up to the woman that at what time she's doing that work. She could take care of the children in the daytime and spend like 2 hours or 3 hours a day in the night time when she's free, or at any time in the day when she doesn't have family responsibilities, and just complete her assignment side by side and get paid for it in return. So gig employment allows part-time work and flexible work hours, which allow women to balance their traditional roles of homemakers and caregivers with employment. So this was the first positive point. The second is about safety during travel. So gig employment complemented by work from home and technology has addressed the issue of safety during travel and night shifts. Also, new employment opportunities for women in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. So companies do not have to go there. The industrial base doesn't have to be there in tier 2, tier 3 cities. Everything happens online, and people can find employment in the gig economy entirely online and work on a part-time basis from the basic setup of their homes or traditional households. It doesn't require migration of women. It doesn't lead to a separation in families. So this is something very comfortable in the Indian setup. So it provides women with on-demand work, allowing them to join and drop out of workforce as per their own will. So around marriage, around maternity, or even if women have personal choices to not work for some time, that choice is freely available in the gig economy setup. So it provides women with join and drop out options from the workforce. The fourth one is gig employment helps women earn extra income, which is the basic demand of having a job, boosts their confidence and gives decision making power, all of which are important components of women empowerment. So last time we discussed about how there is a deterioration in ethical values in the society, and at the end what we value is materialistic gains. So one The person with the wealth, or the person who has a running income, or the person who earns for the family gets more respect in return. This is something that is a byproduct of capitalism, that is a byproduct of modernization, and this is a bitter truth that we have to accept. So women a lot of time feel disrespected, or anybody who's not earning doesn't feel empowered or feels disrespected. So this is a form that gives them this running income gives them a form of empowerment. It empowers them economically and gives them self-confidence. Now, what are the negative impacts of it? See, since women can join work and leave work at any time, that is a positive thing for them, but companies can also lay them off at any time. First of all, gig economy works purely on market principle of demand and supply. So if there is a lot of demand for example, content work, so they'll hire a lot of people, they'll give more projects to people, and hence more money goes into the market. But these people are easily replaceable. For example, if you start charging more for an assignment that you are doing right now as compared to something that you were doing 1 year back, so with time you will want your salary to increase, or the charges for an assignment that you're getting to increase with time. That does not take place, because the moment a person increases his or her charges with time, there are other people already in the queue to work at lower prices available, because there is rampant unemployment in the country, especially in case of women. So gig economy works purely on market principle of demand and supply, and hence it is easily replaceable. Low skill gig laborers are exploited by employers. So this also turns into a form of exploitation. The second point is that there is also a lack of certainty regarding availability of work and stability of career. Moreover, this work in the gig economy is not even considered as regular work experience. So if you have to go for higher studies, or if you have to join a full-time job, many a times this freelance work is not even considered a part of work. You will be considered unemployed for that time, and in the corporate setup, the jobs that we have in the corporate system, it values work experience, regular work experience only, and freelance work is not very much recognized in most of the economies right now. There are lack of benefits. Obviously, there are no provident fund benefits, no pension benefits, no salary raises. In fact, you cannot increase charges with time in most of the situations. So flexi workers usually are not entitled to minimum wages, insurance, provident fund, retirement plans, paid leave, maternity benefits, etc. So either you are working or you do not have anything in your pocket. There is a lot of pay difference, because companies can hire such people on a very low salary or low wages. So the pay difference between a permanent employee and this employee who works on a part-time basis is very high. So permanent employees have a great pay plus benefits, the travel allowance, etc., and there are other benefits also in the private sector. So government sector already is giving a lot of benefits. Nowadays the private sector is also giving a lot of benefits to permanent employees. So gig workers are paid strictly as per the amount of the work, which is according to the market standards. So there is restricted growth. Low skill gig workers cannot move up the organizational hierarchy and are not considered for promotions. So now we've discussed about the positive and negative aspects of it. The gig economy issue has been discussed in detail. In the conclusion, we'll say that we cannot entirely rely on gig economy. This is something to start with to empower women in the short run, but in the long run we have to address the impediments. We discussed the impediments in the linkage point itself, so you can just give them in one line and say that these impediments are there to women empowerment in India, and they have to be addressed so that we can empower women in India. They can be made more employable and more women are employed by companies. So in the short run, gig economy holds potential for increasing female labor force participation and women empowerment, but in the long run, predictable and formal employment with opportunities of upskilling is required. Upskilling is very much in demand. Even if people have permanent jobs in the corporate sector, some new software comes in, some new language comes in, and people have to continuously upskill themselves. This benefit is not available in the freelance work that people are doing. They are entirely dependent on their initiative. So predictable and formal employment, especially for women, is the need of the hour. And as more and more women take to education, now more and more women are getting educated. In fact, around almost 70% of PhD scholars in India are women. So we need to encourage more women at senior leadership levels also, not just education part we are addressing, but we also need to understand that women are very much fit for the higher roles in the corporate sector, in the government sector, and whatever roles that we expect them to do. So more women at senior leadership levels are required. This will improve the working conditions of the entire business or the entire association they are working for. So working by proper implementation of laws. We already have laws in place for sexual harassment, for unequal wages, but proper implementation is not there. Most of the times their implementation is not even carried out, even at the basic level. Support working mothers. How can we support working mothers? Already the laws of 26 weeks paid leave, they are in place. We need to have childcare facilities at offices or creches at offices, or at least near them, so women can visit their children at least like few times in the daytime, and they don't have to worry about or do not have that guilt of leaving a child behind at home and just focusing on their own career. So through childcare facilities, creches at workplace, and slowly we have to bring a shift in how cultural barriers view women, how women are viewed as the basic caregivers to the family. These cultural impediments have to shift with time. The responsibility of managing the family or the household has to be balanced between men and women. So there is this Sustainable Development Goal 5. It's about gender equality. You can talk about this goal in your conclusion, that by taking all these steps or through the help of gig economy, it can help us achieve this Sustainable Development Goal 5. It's entirely up to you. If there is another data about any improvement India has done, or if there is any point that you think from your side which has impacted your life, or which you have understood or you've read somewhere, include that in your answer. Mains is very interesting. Mains preparation is very interesting. You can express yourself in n number of ways possible. So make sure that whenever you're writing an answer, you use your knowledge, whatever you have learned in life, to your utmost benefit. Share your answers with us in the next 24 hours. You can download the PDF for this presentation from the link in the description below. Keep working hard, all the best, and stay tuned.